Parker Schnabel, the face of the gold rush, was the youngest person to ever make a lot of money by mining in the hard, frozen land. He is a symbol of determination because he turned mud into gold and ruled a famous mining company. But he's not driving his trusty digger today. He is facing a terrible decision behind closed doors. Everything has been smashed by the most shocking environmental case in the history of mining. Schnabel's gold empire has burst, and he will spend the rest of his life in jail. Where did this beautiful boy go? Want to know what's really going on? Also, don't forget to leave a 1 if you feel sorry for Parker Schnabel and a 0 if you don't. Sign up for the channel and hit like to make sure you don't miss what we do next as we reveal every secret in this story. No more parole and no more challenges. Parker used the money he saved for college to start a mining business. By the time he was 24, he had found over $13 million in gold. Parker also turned mud into TV gold and made $24 million in season 14 alone. But his $16 million from this year is now stuck. His comments about Dominion Creek are being looked into, and fans still have one big question. In what way did the most focused and hardworking young TV star ever become a prisoner? Parker Schnabel is used to being under a lot of stress. He's played the gold game since he was a kid. He had made more than $13 million in gold from the ground by the time he was 24. His team made $24 million in season 14 alone. Now that it's season 15, gold is worth more than ever, so he should be very happy. He is now on the verge of a financial disaster, an accident, and now something much worse. Parker made a choice somewhere between chasing ounces and chasing memory, something that changed everything. At this point, the story goes straight into court. Parker thought about one number as the season began. 10-0. 0 ounces, that was the point. That's more than $26 million in gold right now. Very big, but he needed more than hard work to reach that goal. He needed a lot of work, a lot of money, and no delays. Then he did something that made people look twice and then sound the bells. He bought Gold Run and Sulphur Creek for $5 million, which are both huge gold claims. These weren't your average plans, they were important. Over the past 100 years, these places have produced $5 billion in gold, making them some of the richest in the whole Klondike. But they were also dangerous. Stripped ground, unsteady ground, and unknown risks. Parker did not move. He was willing to risk everything for a chance to be great. Parker had to move Bob, his biggest wash plant, from Ken and Stewart's claim to Sulphur Creek in order to work the new claims. The 25-mile hike was the longest one he had ever tried. His team only had 10 hours to do it. Not just tight, crazy. They almost did it, though. The mechanics worked quickly to fix the broken parts. Through Tyson Lee's hard work, Bob was finally able to get back to work. Things looked good for a short time. Wonderful. Bob made $290,050. Which is $766,000 in just 4 days. Parker's team passed 6,000 points when Roxanne added another 276,010 at the elbow cut. $16 million in the books. Right then, the risk seemed like a good idea. However, time was running out behind the scenes. More problems came to light as they dug deeper at Dominion Creek and Bridgecut. After 12 years and more than $53 million in gold, Big Red Parker's wash business closed. When the tension bars broke, the whole process stopped. Over the years, that plant had sent out 300 ounces, but it was no longer there. Parker had no room for mistakes when only Bob and Roxanne were running. Something had to go right for him, but it didn't. You didn't see on TV that legal trouble was getting worse. In his haste to get more land and mine every bit of gold before winter, Parker made quick deals. He bought nearby claims through a private deal that didn't involve environmental checks, and there were questions as soon as his team started working at Sulphur Creek. It's about getting permission, messing with a protected waterway, and old fuel drums that are hidden on the land. Questions that don't have clear answers. It's possible that you missed the first signs, a check that was late and a quiet visit from government officials, but there were warning signs. As Parker pushed harder, keeping the business open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and hauling thousands of yards of gravel through protected areas, those red flags turned into subpoenas. Then the big surprise came. Federal charges were brought against Parker for allegedly destroying the environment on purpose. There were not small violations, but big ones. It all has to do with that $2. $5 million land deal, illegal dredging, messing up nationally protected streams, and careless waste management. As the police dug deeper, they found even more. There were missing papers, permits that were not needed, and, worst of all, fake inspection reports signed by freelancers working for Parker. All of a sudden, the show stopped being about ounces. It was about proof. Prosecutors said Parker knew he was breaking the law when he pushed his business beyond its limits to reach his 10,000-ounce goal. The government said Parker took shortcuts, ignored warnings, and put the people and the environment at risk. At his trial, the numbers proved him guilty. 68 violations were recorded, over $3. 1 million worth of changes were made to the site without permission, the dirt around equipment areas was contaminated, and over 8,000 gallons of hydraulic fluid were lost. His defense team tried to call an emergency brake. They said it was all a mistake and that workers had failed to do their jobs. They also said that the missing permits were just due to delays in paperwork and that they had no intention to break the law. Things got messy when emails were shown in court, though. Early in the season, there was an email thread where Parker pushed for constant output and told his team to ignore any interference from agents. People didn't just raise an eyebrow at that message. It kept coming up, and each time the courtroom got quieter. After that, the case moved again. Someone who used to work on the crew but quit in the middle of the season spoke out and said Parker knew exactly what he was doing and had been told several times about missing paperwork and possible violations, but he kept going anyway. Suddenly, there was no longer a discussion about who was to blame. The whole world was watching as a leader under a lot of stress did everything he could to reach his 10,000-ounce goal. The results were terrible. A lot of charges were brought against them, including damaging the environment, damaging the site, lying on inspection reports, and digging without permission on government land. Prosecutors said it wasn't a mistake, but a habit of willfully breaking the rules. When they added blockage to the list, things went from being very bad to being so bad that it would end my career. The court didn't hold back. The court said Parker's acts caused the most damage to the environment, which led to sentencing guidelines that shocked everyone who watched. But here's the truth that will shock you. There was more to the case than what the judge said. No one said the word prison in public. There is no exciting Perwa walk video, no walk of shame on TV. Parker instead disappeared from the public eye. Rumors spread in a quiet, sneaky way. Some said he was talking about making amends. Some said he was in protective care, but no one knew for sure. The quiet said more than anything else. Parker Schnabel is the star of Discovery Channel. As a youth, he started mining, and by age 24 had found over $13 million in gold. He also led 8 spin-off shows, such as Gold Rush and Parker's Trail, which made a total of $24 million in season 14. But now, nothing, not even a word. Parker was never flashy, which is strange. He wasn't a star in his own life. His homes and cars were not very fancy. He even said he slept on a friend's couch in LA when he was at the top of his game. He didn't spend money on flashy things. He spent the money on trips with his dad, shooting weekends with his friends, World Series tickets, and trips to Vegas. It was never about the cash. It had to do with loyalty and knowledge. That way of thinking came from Parker's childhood. In Alaska's wilds, his great-grandfather made a life for himself. In 1937, his grandma came to live with him. His dad still gets up at 4:30 in the morning to do the job. Parker grew up with people who never gave up even when they were hurt. They kept going no matter how bad things got. That's what made him who he is, and it hurts so much to see him fall. He worked with his grandfather for a whole summer and ate dinner with him every night while listening to stories from older generations. That memory was more important to him than any gold bar, which he said he wanted to keep. Parker always knew that money would run out. What counted was the legacy. This history is now in danger. He was meant to make a big comeback in season 15 when he would hit 10-0 ounces and beat all the other wrestlers. People instead call it the bad season, failures of equipment, and constant legal nightmares. He had everything go against him. Parker tried to stay on task by working faster, harder, and better, but it wasn't enough. In a season 15 full of drama, Parker Schnabel's reputation is on the line. It went from dreams of a 10-0 ounce breakthrough to legal nightmares and broken equipment. Can he get through it? Leave a note and click like to find out what comes next. Something broke when the stress got too much. Next, nobody knows what will happen. The $16 million he made this season is being looked at by lawyers. There are no claims right now. The group is spread out. Some people were quiet, while others were trying to keep things together. Things feel different without Parker at the heart, though. Parker bet the most on Dominion Creek than on any other thing. He didn't just rent the land like he did before. He paid cash for it. He wouldn't have to pay any royalties or monthly fees, but he would be taking on all the danger. He signed that check for $15 million all at once, with no chance of getting it back. That was just the beginning. The gold at Dominion isn't on the surface. This place's gold is hidden more than 40 feet below the surface. It will cost millions more in tools, fuel, labor, and time to get there. It looks like a smart move based on the numbers. It is thought that Dominion has 80,000 ounces of gold. At the price of $2,000 an ounce on the market right now, that's $160 million buried. Parker sees more than just a mine there. It's what he sees as the future. Parker will reach his goal if he can pull 10,000 ounces every year for 6 years. There it is, the plan, but there's a catch. His rights and permits for the water only last for 6 years. Anything left in the ground is a waste if officials don't renew them. Parker did what Parker does. He put everything on the line. His crew began moving millions of yards of dirt. During the mining time, they moved 25 million Banky yards, which is more than 4 million yards per season. And when you move it, it gets bigger, becoming something closer to 30 million yards. That much work not only wears you out, it crushes you. Things break, workers get tired, and plans get pushed back. A lot of stress is not put on just one person. It affects everyone. Tyson Lee, Mitch Blaschke, and everyone else on the team. It happens every week. Since this isn't a lease, there's no way out. Every wait costs money. Parker will lose $1 for every ounce they don't get back. Failure is not a choice for Parker, not after that close look, not with that time frame, not when the whole plan depends on him staying one step ahead. 10 ounces a year, not an exception. Take a quick look back. Parker didn't get where he is by being careful. From the first time Parker was seen on Gold Rush Alaska in 2010, he showed that he was different. Parker was more interested in the ground, tactics, and crew than the other miners who bought toys and trucks. He had dug $13 million worth of gold by the time he was 24. By season 14, his haul had made $24 million, and the show went with him to Guyana, the Klondike, Oregon, and Wyoming. He worked hard, made plans, and most of all fought. But something changed in season 15. The pressure and Dominion both liked to play games. Parker said the cost wasn't what scared him the most. He was getting rid of his team, the people who had been with him from the beginning. He'd rather lose them than money. I think that's why he decided to go big instead of shrink, pivot, or salvage. He got more land. He grew his business. He even agreed to pay metallic minerals a fee for having the only right to use a 12 km stretch of Australia Creek. Just that deal required a minimum of $1 million a year to be paid, plus fees for every ounce mined. He wasn't just in charge of Dominion then. His new page was all about little flake mining. That's how fast things were getting bigger, which is why crew morale was so important. It was Parker who said it. People who couldn't handle the heat didn't belong with him. People were kicked out if they couldn't keep up. Not a single reason or second chance. There was more at stake than ever because $200 million could be at stake in the long run. But things did not go as planned, because mistakes are less likely to happen when the job is bigger. Each failure of the wash plant, each delay caused by bad weather, and each ounce of extra that wasn't met added up. Relationships began to suffer because of the stress. That season, Parker didn't see Rick Ness very often. They almost ran into each other. Parker actually only saw Rick twice all summer. On camera, they had a big talk about how hard things were for Rick. Besides that, though, they ran in different ways. The same goes for Tony Beats. Parker and Tony were heads over everything a long time ago. Royalties, permits, and land. They stayed away this time, though. Some friendly coffee breaks in between takes, but that's it. Parker no longer had to pay Tony anything. He had rights to the land, owned it, and didn't send out income checks. That meant there were fewer fights, but also fewer links. That breakup cost something. There wasn't much help from outside as the pressure from Dominion grew. Parker was stuck, with his head down and making a mad dash to keep up. He kept up with his public promises at the same time. He made a big deal with an important mineral. He kept working on a plan to drill 400 holes. The Yukon government gave him the Robert E. Leckie Award for 2022 for taking care of the earth. Just 2 years before his business was looked at by the law. When you're a miner, things can change quick. You win awards one season and are being looked into the next. Parker was the same person when he wasn't working. Humble, traveler, and rooted. Even though his career went up and down, he didn't change how he lived. He stayed the guy who kept his life simple, avoided attention, and stuck to his morals and work. Parker doesn't live in fancy homes or fly around on private jets to party. He sleeps on chairs. After a week in LA, you might spend the next week in Mexico or the Bahamas. He surfs the web, rides snowboards, and rides snowmobiles in the winter when they're not broken. He's not flashy. He only wants to move and push. That could be a part of the problem. While everyone else was wondering how a group of 20-somethings could mine 13 million by 24 hours, Parker was out there reinvesting and taking a chance on new ground. He wasn't in a high-rise office, but 40 feet underground at Dominion Creek, where one mistake could ruin the whole season. Parker is expected to make around $8 million by 2024. Some say it's more like $10 million. In any case, it's not what most people would expect from the star of Discovery Channel's most popular series for more than 10 years. That kind of watch costs more than cars. He does not gather rare cars. Most news sources say he doesn't even own a house, just a small one in Haney's, Alaska. It's on private land by a peaceful lake and is 2,000 square feet. It was built in 2015. Metal top, frame made of wood. Not quite Hollywood. It was said at one point that he had bought a $950,000 house. Parker shut it down right away, saying he was homeless and would rather sleep on a friend's couch. That would seem crazy to most people. For Parker, though, it's true. This is the same person who bet all of his college money on himself, picking pay dirt and permits over dorm rooms. Parker placed a $17 million bet on Dominion Creek. He had taken risks before, but this was the biggest, riskiest, and most well-known one. It's not easy to find gold 40 feet below the ground in frozen ground. In 6 years, he has to move 30 million yards of dirt, which is more than 5 million yards a year. Not only on the tools, but also on the people who run them, year after year. There are a lot of mines in Dominion. There is only one person willing to tame this monster that wants gold. He didn't slow down even when the price of gold hit all-time highs. He went all in and hired more people and more tools. He agreed to dig Australia Creek in exchange for royalties, which he paid up front, and promised to do $1 million worth of work every year. Not only does he mine gold, he also builds a gold kingdom. In the Yukon, work never ends. He has gone worldwide. Alaska, Brazil, Guyana, Papua New Guinea, and New Guinea. It goes from the Klondike to the jungle, from mountains to rainforests. While other teams get ready for winter, Parker is filming Parker's Trail, going where few people dare to go in search of gold. He is in charge of arrangements in languages he doesn't know. He had to deal with bugs, floods, altitude sickness, and anything else that got in the way of him getting paid again. He got sick once at 16,000 feet in the Andes. Being at a high altitude made him pass out, but he kept going. The cameras kept rolling through it all. Gold Rush, Parker's Trail, streaming rights, book deals, sponsorships, and a salary of $2,500 per show. It quickly adds up. Some news sources say that he makes more than $4 million a year from mining, TV, and licenses. His film crew records every moment, from the hard times to the happy ones. The film crew makes between $10,000 and $25,000 per show. It's a machine that makes money, but here's the truth that will shock you. Parker never really went after the money, even though millions of people watched his shows and the whole mining world did. He tried to live up to his grandfather's standards, protect his crew, and show that someone from a small Alaskan town could win in the toughest business in the world. That, not money, was what drove him. That's why this moment was stronger than anyone thought it would be. This is not a famous person who got caught in an incident. My name is Parker Schnabel, the muddy kid who grew up. The person who never gave up. He made a huge fortune with just one excavator and a group of workers. Fans, investors, miners, and everyone else were shocked when it all came to a sudden stop. The $16 million he made this season is now locked away. His claims to dominion are being looked at by the law. His royal places are quiet. His future is not clear. There is no clear next step, and nothing is set in stone. Even though Discovery is still showing shows from season 15, everyone is aware of the big problem that needs to be fixed. No one says it, but everyone knows it. There is a big question. Will Parker come back better than ever, or is this the end of a great run? What do you think? Parker faces a storm. Will he rise above it or sink? Leave a comment with a 1 if you think he'll come back and a 0 if you think this is the end. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the station so you don't miss the next shocking secrets in this story. Glad you watched, and see you in the next film.